miss my old emotions. I miss the pain I used to have. I'm going through the motions. I'd sell my soul to make me sad. I needed something to help me get through. I wanted something, and the doctor said to take this pill. You'll feel much better when you wake up numb and your brain's been severed, and your heartbeat won't be based on the weather when you sell yourself to me. Took your peace, your pain, your pleasure, and I left you with one face forever. You won't hurt anymore. Be careful what you wish for. Something is missing, this predisposition. I feel like I'm living inside of my head. How can they sell you on something to help you, then tell you it might make you wish you were? I needed something to help me get through. I wanted something, and the doctor said to take this pill. You'll feel much better when you wake up numb and your brain's been severed, and your heartbeat won't be based on the weather when you sell yourself to me. Took your peace, your pain, your pleasure, and I left you with one face forever. You won't hurt anymore. Be careful what you wish for. Be careful. Be careful.
Hey, what's up, everybody? You'll have to excuse my voice if it sounds messed up or if I cough whatsoever at all. Sorry, been a little bit weak posting stuff this past week. I did the DC videos, and then my kids got sick, didn't go to school. Now I'm sick. It's been a rough week. Anyway, we got to get into the USAID stuff, the USAID. You know what? I've been wanting to make a video on that stuff because I knew about all the funding they did in the 90s and 2000s of Ukraine and the ex-Soviet nations. You ready? We're just going to take a quick one. I'm not going to do a deep dive. Let's just take a look at a couple of the headlines to see what all the hubbub is about.
Well, first of all, Elon Musk is a once-in-a-generation business leader. He is an entrepreneur. He serves as a great ally and a friend to the president. And I think Elon Musk also has a little bit of common sense. And I think the American people really appreciate that when it comes to the federal government, because it seems like all common sense has been lost in this city. And that's what you see when you look at USAID. I know Secretary Rubio made some comments about how he will be acting as the director over that agency. And here's the reason why Elon Musk and others have been taking a look. Because if you look at the waste and abuse that has run through USAID over the past several years, these are some of the insane priorities that organization has been spending money on. $1.5 million to advance DEI in Serbia's workplaces, $70,000 for a production of a DEI musical in Ireland, $47,000 for a transgender opera in Colombia, $32,000 for a transgender comic book in Peru. I don't know about you, but as an American taxpayer, I don't want my dollars going towards this crap, and I know the American people don't either, and that's exactly what Elon Musk has been tasked by President Trump to do, to get the fraud, waste, and abuse out of our federal government.
You know, and that's not it. I'm gonna rattle off a little bit of a list here. Now, I have not done a deep dive into these, so there's some of these that may not be exactly accurate. There's some that may not be correct. You know, we'll revisit that later. We'll try to do a deep dive a little bit later. I just wanted to get some of this content out there. So, Senator Joni Ernst details some of the insane spending by USAID. $2 million for Moroccan pottery classes, $2 million promoting tourism to Lebanon, $20 million for a Sesame Street show in Iraq, sending Ukrainians to Paris Fashion Week, $9 million to feed Syrians that it ended up in the terrorist hands anyway. $1 million for risky research in Wuhan. Does that sound familiar? You think maybe that's not a good thing? You know, who knows? In their executive salaries, for a charity from Cernovich online on X, 600,000 plus in total compensation, salary plus benefits plus 401ks paid for by people struggling to buy groceries. That was the salaries for these nonprofits. So they're some of the charity that they're doing, they pretend is nonprofit, but these people are paying themselves very handsomely. That's kind of insane. $40 million for age drugs for transgender prostitutes in South Africa. $90 million in USAID money for HIV in San Francisco. Would love to see where that money really goes, Michael Cernovich says on X. What else do we have? $100 million for HIV in Ukraine. Is it really that huge over there? It's not our problem. If so, I really don't care. Or if we dig deeper, will we find that HIV is another skeleton key to track down money laundering? Again, Michael Cernovich. The trustees of the University of Pennsylvania, 3 million plus dollars sent to them, and that was for social media anti-vaping messaging. Okay, and and here's the best part about that. It wasn't just for teens to stop vaping. It was specifically for sexual and gender minorities, that only sexual minorities should stop vaping. That was only for that. Then we have almost a shade under 18 million, 17.98 million to the American Councils for International Education. And that was to provide academic year exchanges for approximately 800 high school students from countries with significant Muslim populations to the US. So we gave them $18 million to bring Muslim school students here for some reason. I just you said sent 4.2 billion in total grants to miscellaneous foreign awardees under Biden alone. Most of them at least have descriptions unlike those above, and sometimes they even have countries named but no names or addresses. I agree with Fleckus and Richard Ratboy. There should be absolutely nothing marked redacted or under miscellaneous charges for our taxpayer money. There should never be a $4.2 billion in total grants miscellaneous. You don't get to send $4 billion somewhere and say that it was for miscellaneous things. You don't get to do that. I'm sorry, you just don't. Then they have another list too. Here are 20 grants made by USAID over the last 4 years, totaling $459,879,230 with redacted names and descriptions. We don't even get to know what continent the money was sent to, and that was from Parker Thayer. I'm going to put these tweets up on the thing for you guys. USAID distributed nearly $32.5 billion in aid in 2024 alone, mainly to Africa and the Middle East. Wow. And finally, here is the top 10 countries by USAID spending. These are totals for the fiscal year of 2024. Ukraine at the top with 5.41 billion, Jordan 1.24 billion, Ethiopia 1.2 billion, Congo 1.2 billion, South Sudan 795 million, Somalia 756 million, Nigeria 738 million, Sudan 661 million, Yemen 621 million, and Kenya 601 million. That's our taxpayer money maybe going to those countries, or is it just funneled right into their shell accounts? What do you think? But then the Democrats are gonna say, "You can't shut down," you said. What about, whenever there's emergencies across the global world, we have to help. So, what about Haiti? Over $4 billion was sent to Haiti, but Haiti only got 2% of it. The rest of it went to firms in DC and other. They love to say that other. The majority of U.S. assistance to Haiti is through USAID. Since 2010, USAID has dispersed at least 2.13 billion in contracts and grants for Haiti-related work. Overall, just 48.6 million has gone directly to Haitian organizations or firms, just over 2%. Comparatively, more than 1.2 billion has gone to firms located in DC, Maryland, and Virginia, more than 56%. Dude, dude, that's what they're going to say. They help the world. They feed the world when there's catastrophes. Do they? Do they? Or does it go right back to them? Or are they paying themselves? At least USAID is not in the business of creating propaganda. Oh, oh, wait, no, never mind. Hold on. USAID was funding over 6,200 journalists across 707 media outlets and 279 media NGOs, including 9 of the 10 media outlets in Ukraine. So they're getting the good news over there. They're getting that mwah, they're getting that chef's kiss over there, huh? Politico has already come out and denied this and said, "This is not so fast. You better not say that we took $8.1 million for subscriptions and all. You said didn't pay us anything." So it's for international development of other countries, but we're buying journalists to create propaganda, and even in our own country. Imagine that. I mean, to be honest, it's this bad. I don't know if this is true or not, but even this NASA leadership has verified that this was canceled today. So NASA has spent a $500,000 on Politico subscriptions, and they didn't say it wasn't true. They just verified that they canceled those subscriptions today. That's isn't that aren't you happy that your taxpayer money went to Politico subscriptions? Are you happy about that? Now, I've been working on a deep dive from USAID for a long time about the business in Ukraine. I'm not going to go crazy talking about it, but I just want to mention that in 1991, when the Soviet Union broke apart, USAID got involved in all the ex-Soviet nations. On the books, what they're willing to admit to from 1991 to 2014, USAID has invested at least 5 billion, billion with a B, in Ukraine. In 1992, it became active in Georgia, Russia, Ukraine, all the ex-Soviet nations. They're willing to admit on the books they've spent at least 5 billion in those ex-Soviet nations, including Ukraine. In the 1950s, a woman named Katerina Yushchenko, well, her last name changed to Yushchenko later in life. Little Katerina came to the United States to immigrant parents in the 50s in Chicago. She grew up and got an MBA in international economics from the University of Chicago, and she worked at the US State Department as a special assistant to the Assistant for Human Rights and Humanitarian Affairs under Ronald Reagan and George Bush Sr., Daddy Bush. In 1991, in 1991, if you can believe it, she moved to Ukraine just before they declared their sovereignty from the Soviet Union. And then she met Viktor Yushchenko, the future Ukrainian president that was installed, by some little special means with some elections being overthrown and some weird stuff going on in Ukraine. And I promise you, Katerina has sued many times to try to not allow people to make the claim that she is a US spy. So let me be clear here. I am not saying Katerina Yushchenko is a United States spy. Um, but uh, uh, okay, she's not a spy, guys. Okay, look, a deep dive into that's coming later. But I've been working on that video for a couple months, just collecting information, collecting data, building timelines. It's very confusing. It is very confusing. But I promise you, what I just told you is very true. I don't know. I just think it's mind blowing to have all those timelines, all those dates match up like perfectly. But she's not a spy. I promise you, she's definitely not a spy. Anyway, the next place we're going to be going with this stuff is: did you see Maxine Waters and all the other victim Congress people outside of the Department of Education trying to go inside and being stonewalled by the most patient man in the world? He's going to shut down the Department of Education and give the education back to the states. From Stephen Moore on X, President Trump is rightfully calling for an overhaul of the Department of Education. The department has spent $1 trillion since its creation in 1979, yet student performance remains stagnant or declining. We should empower states or directly support low-income families instead of funding a bureaucratic middleman. Just take a look at those stats, that little bar graph, just the amount of money that they're spending versus the education our children are receiving. They're not getting any smarter, they're getting dumber, and we're spending more money on it. This graph makes a little bit of sense. From the year 2000, this is growth in administrative staff, principals, teachers, and students in public schools. Students went up 8%, so teachers went up 8%. That makes sense, right? Students and teachers should go hand in hand. But we have a 37% increase in principals and assistant principals, and then we have an 88% increase in administrative staff. That is insane. So he's totally right. We're paying a bureaucratic middleman to sit in offices and not be hands-on with the students. So all of that money that we've dumped into that the federal government has dumped into the education system, all the bureaucrats just took it and gave themselves jobs to sit in offices and pretend they're doing things instead of the teachers. And while we still pay teachers a very low amount of money while they deal with all the bullshit when they're on the front lines. There should have been there should be 88 increase in teachers teaching the kids, not people sitting in offices. And when I saw Maxine Waters and these other idiot Congress people at the Department of Education trying to go inside, and Donald Trump's lone security officer standing there not allowing them to come inside because they have no authority. They are the legislative branch. Donald Trump is in charge of the executive. The Department of Education is a part of the executive branch. So Donald Trump is in complete control of it. He can fire every single person in that Department of Education if he wants and shut the whole system down. I've already talked about it. I think he should fire everyone in the executive that worked there previously. They should all be fired. It should just be done. Who do you think's been running the country the last couple of years that Joe Biden's been on vacation and his brain doesn't work? Who do you think's been running it? Everyone in the executive. And do you think they've done a good job? Absolutely not. They're crooks. I guarantee they've been fleecing, stealing the silverware and everything else on the way out the door. So they can be mad about Elon Musk trying to trim the fat all they want. There's so much fat to trim. We need more than 4 years, to put it to you like that. So I'm looking forward to Trump handing back the Department of Education. I don't want to talk about tariffs too much because there's still too much floating. I'm still waiting. If you're mad about tariffs or want to dunk on Trump about the tariffs, it's real simple. Here goes your video on tariffs. If you hate Donald Trump, you think everything he does, every idea he has is stupid, idiotic, and it's not going to work. All it's going to do is hurt us, and it's in a malicious way that he planned it that way. So no matter what happened with tariffs, you're going to, because you don't know what's happening yet, you're going to fantasize about how terrible it's going to be because you hate Donald Trump. I like Donald Trump, so I'm going to fantasize that it's going to be good, and I'm going to wait and see what happens. So I hope that his plan works. I hope that tariff threats work. I hope that this stuff improves our life. And if it doesn't, I know that in good faith, he probably was trying to do something different and just try something out. But you can't accept that because you're insane. So you have to live with that, not me. Anyway, there's your tariff video, you big baby. I'm gonna wait and see what happens. I don't. No one knows what's gonna happen. So let's talk about it. You're just weird and angry and hate Trump. Just get over yourself. Grow up. I don't know what to tell you. Anyway, we're gonna do Maxine, Department of Education stuff, Elon stuff, Doge stuff. I'm coming at you. All right. Sorry, I'm sick. I don't feel good. It is what it is. Sorry. I'll see you soon. Oh my god, I totally forgot about this tweet. I'm so sorry. I'll leave you with this. The comedy just writes itself. This timeline, I love this timeline. It's so funny. Chucky Schumer tweets out about Elon Musk and Doge. An unelected shadow government is conducting a hostile takeover of the federal government. And do you see who retweeted and reposted it? Alex Soros, George Soros's son. Probably one of the most evil group of people, one of the most evil families on the face of the planet who do nothing but take our taxpayer money from these goblins that they have installed in our government that do nothing but enrich them and their companies. It's just, oh man, the irony of Chuck Schumer tweeting that out and then having it retweeted by the Soros family is just bonkers. And if you don't understand the irony of that, then you are fully asleep and you need to wake up. You need to get woke. All right. That was hilarious. That tweet is gonna keep me up at night. That's gonna make me laugh. I'm gonna wake up in the middle of the night laughing about that one. That's adorable.